South Florida is home to the sprawling Miami metro area of over 6 million people. The region's 3 commercial airports, Miami, Fort Lauderdale-Hollywood, and Palm Beach, together form one of the busiest air travel markets in the US. Today, let's quickly compare these airports, including their histories, flights, facilities, and much more. My name is Gavin, and welcome to my channel, Chicago Geographer. It's been nearly 2 years since my last airport comparison, but I'm happy to say that I'm back to making videos just like this one consistently, so if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to subscribe. And with that said, let's get started. First, let's get some key stats out of the way. Miami International Airport is one of the busiest in the US and the world, ranking 8th in the nation with its total passenger traffic of 50.6 million in 2022. This was its busiest year to date, despite 2022 being the tail end of the pandemic. MIA is found just outside Miami city limits in an unincorporated area of Miami-Dade County. Fort Lauderdale-Hollywood International Airport, unsurprisingly located between those two cities in Broward County, is a bit lower down the passenger traffic list at 17th place. Its 31.6 million passengers in 2022 isn't quite a full recovery from its pre-COVID peak. Finally, Palm Beach International Airport is the smallest of the three, with 6.6 million passengers in 2022 and similar numbers pre-COVID, which usually places it just out of the top 50 nationwide. It's just outside the city of West Palm Beach to the southwest of its downtown. All things considered, MIA and FLL are much more alike in both size and location compared to the smaller PBI found way up north, but this distribution makes a lot of sense when you look at the population density of South Florida. But of course, with this area having grown immensely in recent decades, these airports haven't always been this way. Miami is the oldest airport of the three. It began with Miami City Airport in the 1920s, but really got its start in 1928 when Pan American World Airways opened an airfield there. Miami, with its fast-growing population and proximity to Latin America, was the fledgling airline's ideal home. During the 1930s, the airport became known as 36th Street Airport when other early airlines like National and Eastern began service. In World War II, the US Army built a new airfield a mile south, which was used to train thousands of pilots. These two airports were merged into one commercial facility a few years after the war, creating Miami International Airport. Almost immediately, it became one of the world's largest commercial flight hubs, and the post-war decades saw it grow to offer non-stop flights nationwide and later to Europe and beyond. A major landmark was when its 20th Street Terminal opened in 1959, the largest such facility in the world back then. Into the present day, however, Miami holds onto its history as a gateway to Latin America, becoming the nation's busiest international flight hub in 2021. Fort Lauderdale-Hollywood got its start in 1929, 1 year after MIA, when Merle Fogg Field was opened. Its namesake was a World War I pilot and Fort Lauderdale aviator who had recently passed. The airport's early history is pretty similar to Miami's, with Pan Am and Eastern starting charter flights in the 30s and the military acquiring the airport during World War II. It was the Navy in control of FLL though, where it trained the likes of future President George H.W. Bush. After a short period of inactivity following the war, ownership was granted to Broward County, which converted it to a commercial airport by 1953. At first only offering flights to the Bahamas, domestic flights arrived by 1959, which was also when it got its first modern terminal building. It continued to expand operations from then on, reaching 1 million passengers in 1969 and 10 million in 1995. Today, Fort Lauderdale-Hollywood mainly serves the middle of the Miami metro area, acting also as the secondary international flight hub for all of South Florida. Palm Beach Airport was dedicated in 1936 as Morrison Field, named for Grace Morrison, a local aviator who pushed for the expansion of the county's small and unsafe airstrip. She unfortunately did not live to see its opening. Palm Beach saw its first commercial flight in 1936 with an Eastern Airlines flight to New York. Passenger service was short-lived, however, as World War II came around and it too was used by the US Army. Commercial service resumed for a few more short years afterward until 1951 when, unlike MIA and FLL, it was returned to military use for the new Air Force. It almost ended up becoming a permanent base, but years of pushback by local officials led to the county taking it back once and for all by 1959. Receiving a new terminal in 1966, many major airlines began service there, but by the 1990s, growth stagnated as it couldn't compete with the dominance of FLL and MIA. In the present day, general and private aviation have a significant presence alongside commercial flights, which was especially apparent during the height of COVID-19. Thinking more practically, we have to know how to even get to these airports. With all three being so close to South Florida's major cities, we have lots of options. Miami Airport Station is directly served by the Metrorail Orange Line, the local rapid transit, Tri-Link commuter rail, as well as the airport's people mover system and local bus services. Drivers can use the several highways that pass near the airport, such as Dolphin Expressway or Lejeune Road. Up at FLL, the nearby city of Dania Beach has the closest transit station, with shuttle buses connecting the airport to its Tri-Link and Amtrak trains. Interstate 595 and US Highway 1 are the main ways to get here by road. Lastly, PBI is the least well connected to transit, with Palm Beach County's PalmTran system offering a bus between the airport and West Palm Beach Station. The major highways nearby are Interstate 95 and US Highway 98. So now we know how to get to the airports, but what kinds of flights do they offer? As expected for such a busy international flight hub, MIA offers the greatest variety of the three airports. Their website lists 54 passenger carriers, many of which are the primary airlines for various Latin American nations. The most popular airline, however, by a wide margin is American, holding about 58% of the market share last year, and MIA is American's third largest hub nationwide. Popular destinations from Miami include its busiest domestic routes to JFK and Atlanta, with international cities like Mexico City, Bogota, and Panama City more popular than most other domestic flights. 3 terminals at MIA have 131 gates in total, connected with a people mover system, and flights take off and land from 4 different runways. Fort Lauderdale-Hollywood shows 24 airlines on their website's arrivals menu, and by the way, I think this airport wins the worst website award between the 3. It's a base for budget airline Spirit, which is headquartered in nearby Miramar and the most popular airline at the airport. While still a large international flight hub, domestic flights are far more common here, with its busiest route being to Atlanta at 1.2 million passengers. Canada is a popular international destination with busy flights to Toronto and Montreal, but FLL's top global destination last year was Cancun, Mexico. The airport has 4 terminals, 66 gates, and 2 runways. Palm Beach only has 1 year-round international flight currently to the Bahamas, with seasonal flights to Montreal and Toronto. With 13 airlines offered, it's not much of a hub for any one airline, with 5 big US carriers making up almost 90% of the commercial traffic combined. Its busiest flight is also to Atlanta, but with half the passengers as Fort Lauderdale. Interestingly, White Plains, New York made the top 10 last year, among many other East Coast cities. The airport has 3 runways, but one is much smaller and used for general aviation. Commercial flights use the other 2 runways, and 1 large terminal building with 32 gates. These airports continue to grow, and that's especially apparent at Miami with its recent record-setting numbers. In 2019, the county approved a multi-billion-dollar improvement plan for MIA, bringing 2 new hotels, renovated terminals, new baggage handling systems, and more throughout the next couple decades. Over at FLL, a big project coming soon is a 5th terminal with project oversight granted to JetBlue last year. This is just one piece of the airport's ongoing master plan development. Palm Beach is remodeling Concourse B currently, adding more restaurants and communal space to the terminal, in addition to fixing up their parking garage. Well, that's about it for this comparison of South Florida's airports. Whether you're planning a Miami vacation, an avid aviation fan, or just an interested viewer, thanks for watching this video. Make sure to give it a like if you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments which of these 3 airports is your favorite. I'll see you in the next one.